Hey guys, and welcome back to my chat. I hope you've all had a lovely weekend and all celebrated Father's Day yesterday. And to all the dads and granddads out there, uncles, you name it, happy Father's Day. Now today, I have the wonderful Radzi on. Now, I was lucky enough to work with Radzi on my first year in Strictly for the children in need, but he is such a great guy. For me, mostly known from Blue Peter, so really excited to find out a little bit more about Blue Peter. But also, of course, Radzi was a contestant on Dancing on Ice this year. So I'm really intrigued to see how Dancing on Ice works, and is there some similarities to Strictly, you name it. And he did amazing on there. And also to find out what he's up to during lockdown. Let's see if Radzi is in the house. Let's have a look. Radzi, can't see him just yet. Let's go to the other one. Radzi. I can see him. Send request. Come on, Radzi. I know loads of you have sent me messages to say how excited you are. Yes, here he is. Here he is, the fabulous Radzi. I'm so excited for this one, and I've got loads of questions. Here he is! Hi, Radzi, how are you?
I'm really well. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Now, probably most people don't realise that we right now are quite close to one another, aren't we?
Yes, and we discovered this because when I went to my dentist about three years ago, he said, you might happen to know a customer of mine. He said, so she's actually a dancer on Strictly. I thought, what? And he said, Amy. No way! And
Yeah.
then when I saw you, I then told you because our dentist has on his ceiling little animals on the
yes,
when you're lying
monkeys.
down. You're done. Yes, exactly. And so I said, do you know Mr. Gupta? And then it was, what, the dentist? Yeah. Is the animals on the? Yeah, that's that was so cool.
And do you remember that week when we figured it out, I actually had an accident where I banged my mouth and you were like, I'm going to tell the dentist.
Yeah. Was that Tim Vincent that dropped you?
No. It was, me and Mark Curry were trying like an experiment, and I just kind of went for it. And it was like nobody's fault, just slipped and went boom and banged my chin. It was fine.
Now, you say that really casually. It was actually quite a lot of people were worried about you, but because you're Welsh, you're really hard. So
oh, bless you. Oh, bless you. So how are you doing? It's lovely and sunny here, isn't it?
Yes, it's gorgeous. Do you know what? It's been a weird time. So I've come back to Wolverhampton. I'm with my mum. Mum works for the NHS. So every day, when she goes off to work, I'm so grateful that she does exactly what she does. And I've known how important the NHS is, but it's nice that people are now talking about nurses, talking about doctors and everything. So there's that side of it where I go, man, my mum's a hero. On the other side, I go, I want to go to the gym, please.
Absolutely. And have you been still working, or has everything been put on hold?
Yeah, I've been doing a few bits. So stuff like I finished writing my kids' book, which will be out in January. And that's about getting kids active. So it's called Move Like a Lion. That's the working title so far. And it's about every day you move like a different animal. And so I'm really passionate about sport and exercise and health. But the thing is sometimes sport can be exclusive. And I went to 7 different schools when I was a kid. But the thing that kind of bonded me, regardless of what you look like, where you're from, what you sound like, I knew by break time, I'd get on with people because they think, he's quite good at whatever. We'll choose him for our football team. If you don't have that, sport can be quite exclusive. And so I thought, actually, let's do something which isn't about competition, even though 10-year-old Radzi would love that. Let's make it for everybody. And so that's what I've done, just doing podcasts. I've been doing random stuff at the BBC, sort of a bit of travel here and there, some stuff online, so like puffing, lots of different things. But I'm used to being every day is here, and now it's kind of, we don't know.
I know, yeah. I completely know what you mean, Ned, because for me as well, being on tour and dancing in the studio and that, I really struggled at the beginning of lockdown because, being confined to your house, and I did have to shield at the beginning, yeah, I found it really, really hard.
Yeah.
And I'm a people's person as well. And you know me, I'm a chatterbox. But you know, with the book, you're going to have to come to the studio and you're going to have to read it to the kids at the studio.
Done. Okay, that's a deal. Yeah.
They would love it, Radzi. Absolutely love it.
So are you still teaching at the moment?
So yeah, we're doing as much as we can over Zoom and online lessons, and we're just saying we're doing it all for the NHS. So if anybody wants to give a donation, they are for all the private lessons we're doing, formation classes, kids classes, fitness. We're asking them to donate either to the NHS or to a local charity, because we're also very aware that there are a lot of charities as well suffering right now because they can't do a lot of the fundraising events they had planned throughout the year, which keeps them going.
You know, I went to a school just down the road this morning they were doing a sort of encouraging people to get involved with the school, even if they're not necessarily at the school.
Yeah.
And it's not until you kind of go to the school itself and realize that it's a school that could hold 250 kids. It's got 40 kids there. And they were saying exactly that they're raising money to help lots of different charities because so many of them are suffering right now. And no London Marathon, no Great North Run, sort of they're going to be changing what they're doing, but so many big events that would raise so much money. And
yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Now, last time I saw you, you were actually still working for Blue Peter.
Yes, it's all changed.
And it's all changed. So, and you were with Blue Peter from 2013 until
Yes.
2019. So that's quite a long time for a Blue Peter presenter, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say it puts me in kind of the top, out of the 37, maybe out the top 15. They've had some proper stalwarts who've done 10 years and stuff. But that was my dream job. If you said to me at 10 years old, what do you want to do when you're older? I'd have said, I want to be a Blue Peter presenter. And then I left uni. I was trying to do skeleton bobsleigh.
Okay.
As you do. And it was my dream to become a Winter Olympian to represent my country at the Winter Olympics. And
amazing.
I'm not sure if you saw the Winter Olympics in 2014. I wasn't there, so I failed in that.
No, you didn't fail.
Well, do you know what I did? I kind of put all that and just parlayed everything I learned from that into then my other dream, which was to become a presenter. And it took me 3 years of mainly working for free, living in hostels, volunteering, being a mascot called Spike the Lion, being a mascot called Busby the Bird, working at the Olympics, the Paralympics for free, everything for free, whilst working at a leisure centre to earn me money to do that. And then eventually getting my break in 2013. But that came off the back of such a long journey. And so then doing Blue Peter, I think, am I flashing? Is it? So it looks like I've got a disco on behind me.
No, to me it's fine.
Good. But yeah, so that 6 years or 5.5 years was just 5.5 years, which I'll treasure for the rest of my life. And it resulted in us dancing on the same floor.
I know, yeah. Because we were lucky enough, I was lucky enough on my first season of Strictly to be part of the Strictly Come Dancing Children Needs Special. And how much fun was it? You danced with the lovely Chloe. I danced with the fab Mark Curry. I was lucky enough to win. Sorry, Radzi.
You know what? So Mark Curry, that man, so in TV, you meet lots of people. And some people are what you'd expect them to be, and some people aren't. And that can be good and bad. Mark is one of those guys you think, thank you, Mark, for being everything I hoped and so much more. He is hilarious.
Yep, he is. He's so lovely as well. And was so hardworking, where you all was. But how did you find your Strictly experience?
The thing that I don't think people necessarily... So the thing that surprised me was actually how genuinely magical it feels. So you're a dancer and you would assess a performance and let's say, I could have done better in this bit, or I was offbeat on this bit. Whereas when you're bog standard, it's just, wow! And the crowd, the orchestra, or the band rather, the band were just, and it's, I'll tell you the thing I learned it the hard way. I went from being in the studio and I'd hear, da-da-da, da-da-da, do-do-do-do-do-do. Can't hear that in the studio.
No.
And then the adrenaline means I can't really feel my legs anyway. And as so me and Chloe started with the last pair to come on. We came on the steps, came together, turned to then the main part of the floor. And I remember getting to her and going, help! As I turned. It's unforgettable. And I kind of...
It is.
I've only danced with Chloe properly.
Yeah.
And so every time I hear someone say Chloe Hewitt, I just think, Chloe, you're the best. And you have that special connection forever. And I know you've danced with many people and world-class people, but for us, when you have that band and the audience, and then you actually see the judges table, and you hear Tess and Claude, and you hear the voice of God. It's so much fun.
It is, isn't it? And it just, do you find as well, it just goes over, it's like done so quick. Like you've trained and trained for this number, and then before you know it, it's over, and you're like, I want to do it again and again and again.
Yeah. Do you still have that now?
Yeah, I still get the butterflies, and I always say the day I don't get the nerves and butterflies is the day I hang up my dance shoes, because I think then obviously it doesn't show. I don't know, the meaning maybe is gone for me, but oh no, I still, yeah, you live for that adrenaline rush. Do you know what I mean? It's just, yeah, it's just
When's
so
your
special.
euphoria moment? When do you have that? So as a presenter, if you do something, the thing I love most of all is the countdown. So they'll count you in, and then you'll be on air, and you think, and we're off. And there are certain moments when I think, you say something spontaneously or whatever, it's in the moment, and it's pure. And as you're doing it, you're thinking, yes. What's your euphoria moment as a dancer?
I think it depends. Like as a competitor, to it's completely different to being on Strictly to doing a show. It's no better feeling than when you get a standing ovation in a theatre. That is just so heartwarming. To on Strictly with my celebrities, it's that you can just see in their face when it all comes together, and the enjoyment and the pure love for dance. And it's just at the end when it's all gone so well, you see how proud they are. And to be honest, you're oblivious then of what the judges thinks in the audience. You are just like a really proud teacher moment, and you're just buzzing. And it's just it's a lovely feeling. And well, you know exactly, because you did it, do you know what I mean? And then you went on to Dancing on Ice this year.
Yeah.
Now tell me more about that, because don't you only get to train for so many hours a day on the ice?
So I was called in. I was drafted in late because Michael Barrymore got injured. And so I got the call to say, would you like to do it? And I was torn because I thought, I love the show.
Yep.
If anything I do, I want to give it my all. And I thought, am I going to be able to give it my all? And I thought, I don't know if I will. But actually, when opportunities come in life, I think you just got to grab them. And so this was December the 19th, maybe. And then I think the girl I was dancing with, Jess, she was leaving in 2 days' time to go back to America. So it was, right, let's skate. And then we had the break for Christmas, came back from that, and then we got maybe 6 days before the first show. And then the other thing was, my calendar was booked as a freelance presenter. I was doing lots of stuff.
Of course.
So I didn't have booked out time to skate. So some guys are doing, say, some of them are doing 6 hours. So, most of them, I'd say around 3 or 4. I was probably getting about 1.5 hours in. And then it was, again, do you know what? I could go one of two ways. I could either say, oh man, what a shame that I'm not able to do it as much as I'd like. Or I just think, what a privilege that I'm getting to do this. And I couldn't skate before. And actually, I was scared of it, to be totally honest with you. And so just then you embrace it and you just get immersed in it. And it was so much fun. And and it's so different to dancing, because say with Chloe, you're up close, I think, a lot, and you're almost, you're in contact, and you've got to be quite familiar with each other, I'd say, in ballroom. And actually, I'm actually not a very tactile person. So I remember the first time Chloe sort of grabbed my hand, and I'm thinking, okay. And then she grabbed my hips, and I thought, right, okay. And then after about 10 minutes, she went, you're getting it now, aren't you? Like, yeah, I'm getting it now, fine. And skating's kind of like it, but it's just, how's it different? It's sort of, so with ballroom dancing, we can all stand, and most of us are lucky enough to be able to walk or to skip or to hop. When you're skating, you're actually relying on your professional to keep you upright in a lot of the things. And so there's not only the dance that you're doing, the actual kind of the routine, but there's actually the choreography of, please don't make me fall. So there's real trust there. And eventually when you're lifting your partner, they've got to have so much trust in you. And so there's a real dynamic that you don't see. But it was genuinely, like Strictly, it is magical.
And did you have those moments at the end of the dance when you finished your performance?
One of them, I was dressed as Shrek. And it was, so Shrek was about the worst possible costume you could wear to skate. And again, they said, Radzi, do you want to do Shrek? I'm a believer. And it was, yes, I want to
Absolutely.
do so. And it was, so you went up there, I was off balance, I was in a big fat suit. It wasn't ideal, but it was that moment, and I'm not sure how your memory works when you're dancing, but when I was spinning at this moment with Jess, and we're going around in circles, and you're looking into her eyes, and you think, wow, are we really on TV? Are people really watching my awful skating on TV? But and I have to say, there's a wonderful fan called Brendan Jessica fan on Instagram now. She's watching this now. So I have to say hello to her. She's
hello.
super fan.
Hello. Oh, bless. Yeah, the fans are incredible for these shows, aren't they? For Strictly, for Dancing on Ice, Blue Peter, you name it. And I think that's what also when you have these moments in the week where you're tired or frustrated, that keep you going, aren't they? Because, you know, they put so much belief and energy and positivity into us as well, don't they?
Totally. And it's actually as well, when you're, say, on the ice and it's Wednesday and you think, this really isn't going to work, this isn't going to happen. And you have to sort of have a word with yourself and say, you're really lucky to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And I think actually your part, when you think of all the great shows in the last 50 years, Strictly is right up there. And you're a part of that. And that must be so special.
Oh, I pinch myself every day. And like you said earlier, and I found that really inspiring how you worked, you know, for free, and you had to do so much all to get your dream of being on Blue Peter, and then being on Blue Peter's opened so many doors for you. For me as a child, obviously, I watched Strictly Come Dancing every week with my parents whilst it was on. My twin sister and I'd be copying all this. I remember Jill Halfpenny and Darren Bennett's Jive to I'm Still Standing, and Rebecca and I copying the routine all week long. And then to be on the show, yeah, it's surreal. And like you, us dancers, we're the same. We have to give up so many hours. We're traveling, we're doing shows, competitions. You don't get paid as a pro. And then you have that breakthrough. And like, that's what I find so inspiring about you, is hearing your, you know, the same story, and like educating the youngsters of today to don't be scared to dream big, because these moments are just the best feeling. And, you know, it's nothing better than looking at my proud parents sat there in the audiences there. It's just, yeah, it's just magical.
You know, touching on that is that, so I think we focus on destinations and not journeys. And so you'll see somebody and you'll say, wow, Amy, she's an unbelievable dancer. But you don't know that you've done it for 20 years. We haven't seen you when you were injured, when you were thinking, is it ever going to happen for me? You're not with the right partner, or you've fallen out, or whatever, all the politics that goes on. You don't see that.
Yeah.
People didn't see me, like I say, when I was cleaning floors in leisure centres. I mean, so my first ever show on CBBC was a show called Wild. That was on a Saturday morning, live at 9 a.m. Did it for 10 weeks. I was still working in my leisure centre, which meant the show would go live at 9 a.m. It would finish at 10 a.m. Afterwards, the crowd that were there, we used to do a signing of the three presenters. Me, Naomi Wilkinson, Tim Ward, good friends of mine, legends. We'd do a signing with all the audience. I'd drive back to Loughborough Saturday nights, have Sunday and do whatever I needed to do. Monday, I was cleaning the floors again.
Yeah.
And people don't see that bit.
No, they don't.
But that's, I think, I remember when I was trying to first of all get into skeleton bobsleigh, I heard a guy speak to a DJ called DJ Semtex. He's still on one extra. Now this guy has one arm, and anyone who's seen a DJ generally knows that two hands is ideal in terms of being able to mix. And what he used to do was he used to use one hand and he used to use his mouth to move the tweeter from one track to the other. And he went to perform at Loughborough, and a mate of mine said to him, Semtex, do you have any advice for an aspiring DJ? And he paused and said, no cliches. And Semtex went, okay, it's not really advice, it's just a statement that I live by. And he said, life is 20% talent and 80% hard work.
I've heard and seen that on so many occasions. Yeah.
And actually, I think that there are certain things when I'm 5'9", I'm not going to be a professional basketball player. You know, I'm not going to be a jockey. I'm too big to be a jockey. There are certain things which I'm just not made for. But most of stuff in life is about that persistence, that perseverance. When I meet young people, I'll always say to them, some of them will ask me, how do you become a footballer? Or what was so-and-so like? And I'll say, well, you could be that person. The thing is when you hit 14, there'll be other temptations. When you hit 16, other temptations. 18, other temptations. And the thing is, in life, we normally go, oh, I just want to be with my mates. I want to do normal stuff. Well, ordinary leads to ordinary.
Yeah.
Extraordinary is something totally different. And with you, you'll have had to have made so many personal sacrifices, your friends, relationships, whatever it might have been, because
Yeah.
you're focused on a passion.
Oh, the sacrifices, yeah, I made. Well, until I was in, got to Strictly, then I was in a lot of debt from traveling for our lessons in LA, and you would be working for competition to competition, yeah, to hopefully get that breakthrough or get that result, which was never guaranteed. But you do it for the passion.
Yeah.
And obviously I had my Crohn's as well, and I remember being hospitalized for 6 weeks in London, and I knew what it felt like to have my dancing taken away from me, and I was missing the biggest competition throughout the year, calendar year. And for me that was a big opener, and I don't know if it wasn't for that moment would I have achieved what I did, because I sat there going, I'm never going to let this happen. I'm not going to not allow this to define me, Crohn's to define me. And it was like, do you know what? I'm going to show everybody. And I think I knew what it felt like to have my dancing taken away from me. And I thought, right. And I used that passion to drive forward. And literally until Strictly, Ben and I were living in his parents' house upstairs. Do you know what I mean? And, some of our friends would go out and we would be checking how much money. No, we can't do that this week. But you do it for the love, the passion. And I always tell my kids, you just don't give up. And the reward and the feeling when you achieve it, then there's no other feeling, is it?
So, very random question. 2 random questions.
Yes.
Did you have anyone that believed in you?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And number one, I had always had my partner, Ben. So we believed in each other. We had an incredible coach in LA, Richard Porter. And yeah, he was like our dancing dad. Pushed us, don't get me wrong. And he trained us a little bit like an Olympic athlete. So an Olympic athlete, he said, never got praise until they got gold. And Richard was a bit like that. And I kind of and looking back now, had he been any different, I don't know if it would have worked. And he was so strict of us, and I loved that. But also we had our parents as well, who were realistic. Don't get me wrong, were realistic. But yeah, both sets of our parents were, absolutely amazing. And I was actually offered Strictly the year before I took it. And Ben and I had this big dream when we got together to become British champions. And both my dreams come at the same time, and we'd worked so hard, and I didn't feel I could take Ben's dream and everything. We'd worked several years together, and our sponsors, and what our parents put into us, and our coach, and and at the same time I had Strictly, which was unbelievable. And I can remember just being in floods of tears, because both my dreams come at the same time, and I had to make a decision that I could live with for the rest of my life. And obviously I went and did the British with Ben, and we didn't know we were going to go and win. Do you know what I mean? And that was so hard to turn that job. You don't know, I'm Strictly going to come back and ask you again, but I had to live with something that I want to be true to myself. And I turned and said to Strictly, I hope you see, if you offer me this job again, that I'm loyal and I'm dedicated, and I would be the same to you. And Ben and I was lucky enough to be crowned champions. But yeah, you going into that, you just, you don't know. But I think that showed, hopefully, producers I'm committed. Do you know what I mean?
So the other one is, did you have anyone who didn't believe in you?
Absolutely. Of course, and you get a lot of competition rivals, and obviously as well I had my health, and I think people thought that would stop me. No, absolutely not. It doesn't define me. And I'm guessing this was the same for you, because...
Yeah, well, the reason I asked was because, so there was a study done, so there's a thing called UK Sport, you mentioned Olympic sports. They're funded by partly by the lottery, but by a thing called UK Sport. And UK Sport, without boring you with it, it's called a quango, but that's all political and boring. But when that was founded in 1997, it came off the back of Atlanta 1996, where Britain performed awfully. And they said, we need to change this because we've got so many sports, but there's no central hub. There's no way that we can roll out a model to each of the sports to say, this is how you do it. So they thought, right, we're going to speak to every single Olympic medalist that's still alive for Britain and find out if there's anything in common. And they spoke to all of them. And they found out that out of these 3 things, they all had 2. So one is trauma. They overcame trauma in their lives. Number 2, they had somebody that believed in them. Number 3, they had somebody that didn't believe in them. So you want to prove somebody right, and or prove somebody wrong, and or have it something, whether it be Crohn's or whatever, that makes you think, I'm going to do this. And it's 2 out of the 3. And so I was really curious to know if you had, and you got 3 out of 3.
Yeah. And what about you? So we've
So
got to where you are.
It was, so I've always had, so my mum and my sister have always believed in me. I mean, one of the best days of my life was finding out I was going to be a Blue Peter presenter. I went for a meeting, and I've been to many meetings in TV, which are mostly just a waste of time. And I got sat down in front of, her name's Cheryl Taylor and Ewan Vinicum. Ewan Vinicum was the editor of Blue Peter, and Cheryl was in charge of CBBC and CBeebies. And I thought I was going to lose my job as presenter of Wild. It was only 10 weeks, but I thought they only call you in if it's bad news. So So I arrive, and bear in mind, so I'm still working in the leisure centre. I'm absolutely skint. Over 3 years, I earned £9,000. That was my sum total. So I was not earning a lot of money. So sit there, and they say, Sir Radzi, we need you to sign this non-disclosure. And I thought, oh no, it's really bad. This is really bad. And they say, so as you know, Helen Skelton's leaving Blue Peter. And they said, we'd like you to become the 37th Blue Peter presenter. And
oh my goodness.
Did
you cry?
I was actually trying to, I genuinely felt tears, and I bawled my eyes out. And all I heard for the next 10 minutes was Salford, Lindsay Barney, starting. It was an out of body experience. And then I called my girlfriend at the time, I called my best mate. And then I didn't tell my mum, because the thing I could not wait for was to tell my mum and my sister.
Aww.
So following day, got home, Wolverhampton, and train station. I thought, we need to be back at home for me to do this. Got in the door, my sister ran to the toilet. No, don't run to the toilet. I said, "Come down, quick." So she came down, and I said, just want you guys to know that on October the 5th, I'm going to be a Blue Peter presenter. And that's
what did they do? What did they say? What did they do?
It was, so my sister just said, just really almost instinctively just said, I knew it. I knew you'd do it. And my mum just grabbed me, just really held me. And it was such a special moment, because not many people knew the journey that I'd been on. I mentioned journeys, not destinations.
Yeah.
They knew that journey. And to get there was, oh my goodness, it meant the world. But I'd already had enormous failure in skeleton bobsleigh. But the thing I sometimes think about is, so when I was in school, so if I had £1 for every girl that was interested in me, I would have £0. So true story.
Sure. Really?
It's a true story. But so there was that. Then there was the fact that in my school, we were the only family on education maintenance allowance, which meant you got a little bit of money to go to school. That's because we didn't have much money. So looking back, that was my big trauma, was feeling, so A, girls aren't fussed about me, B, don't have a lot of money, and so I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something bigger than this, bigger than the most popular guy with the girls, bigger than the most popular girl with the guys, bigger than the richest guy. Not fussed. I'm going to do something. And so that really was the start of the, right, off we go. And it didn't quite happen straight away. I didn't quite know what it was. And then eventually it was sport, and then I didn't work out. And then Blue Peter was presenting. And that's why I take presenting really seriously, in that I love it, but I try my best, and always making calls, always making pitches for different ideas. Why don't I try this, try that, do this, do that? And then hopefully things progress, because I take the Olympic attitude of, it won't just happen by being sat down. It happens
absolutely not
by treating it like a training session, treating it like an athlete.
And always being proactive. And like you said earlier about 20% talent and 80%. Honestly, I've seen dancers walk in, competitions and into my studio, and so talented, but yet haven't made it because they haven't got a pure, or they haven't got the dedication, or they've had everything too easy for them. And they slip through, and yet you look at them and go, you could have been a champion. Really? And then Yeah, and then you have these other kids who come through the door who are just, blood, sweat, and tears, and and you just know, don't you? The ones you go, they're gonna make it, and you just do. And I honestly, I've seen so much talent go away, and over lockdown, actually, I've learned a lot because again, you've got to be so proactive, haven't you? And to improve, and I always say, fail to prepare, prepare to fail.
Yeah.
That's my saying. And even during now lockdown, I'm telling all my little students now, work on your flexibility, keep up your stamina, because the opportunities are going to come, use this time to be watching other dancers and educate yourself in other ways. And we
Yeah.
won't get this time again. And I think this is where me and you are quite alike.
Totally. And I think you can, so if I was an athlete right now, it would be, okay, what can I do? So there's a man called Daley Thompson, a decathlete, won double Olympic gold medal, 1984, 1988. And he famously said, he gets misquoted as being famous for training on Christmas Day. That's not what he said. They said, Daley, what are you doing at Christmas? This is at Sports Personality of the Year. He said, I'll be training twice. And they went, training twice? Why is that? He went, in case anybody else trains once. I thought, yes, Daley. That right there is a winner's attitude. And it's, okay, so how many people will do 5 minutes stretching, 10 minutes stretching? I'll tell you what I'll do then. I'll do 45 minutes stretching every day. When I get back to that studio, I will be the most flexible person there. You can't work on everything. I work with a studio, I work with the music, I work with my partner necessarily. But what can you do to make yourself the best possible? And therefore, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to beat your rivals because they won't be doing that.
Yeah, and also I always say it's not in competition with anyone else. I'm always in competition with myself, and it's to improve myself, whether it's through my teaching, whether it's through my speaking now, or because obviously now being on telly, I wasn't trained. I was trained as a dancer.
Yeah.
So there's loads of other elements now, which are quite exciting for me to go into and that. But no, that's why I knew from when I met you. We kind of like clicked instantly because I just see us both as very, very similar. But so growing up then, I do think having it tougher made you aspire to where you are today. Do you believe if you had it easier then, that you wouldn't have made it to Blue Peter?
Yeah, so I think that it's tough to really know how to hunt for food if you are not hungry.
I like that. I'm going to use that. I like that.
And you will, when you need it, you'll be there for as long as it takes. It's not even a thing. I need to eat. If I'm satiated, if I'm full, I'll take or leave it. And that's why, especially in sports, 99.999% of people do not come from privilege. Yep. Privilege gives you lots of things, and I'd love to be privileged. I'll take that all day. But there are certain sports where you have to have money to do it, and I'd say that's where privilege helps. So let's just say yachting. You need to have a yacht. So being in Wolverhampton probably ain't going to help. But yeah, so for me, I'm grateful in many ways that happened, and it's looking back. So that's another thing that lockdown's done. It's allowed me to kind of look back a little bit, as well as sort of what's led me to this point. And I think there's been total belief, which has been my propulsion, but then there's been internal stuff, which has been my impulsion, and that's come from trauma, which whatever that might be for 101 people. But yeah, for me, it was about wanting to do something bigger than myself.
And you did it.
Yeah, do you know what? It's a weird one because when you do, so I imagine much like yourself, so you're on Strictly, but the reality is you're not able to really enjoy Strictly in that when you're on the floor, you can't just spend your time going, wow, because you've got to actually do the job.
And the competitive Amy comes out, and the dancer and the perfectionist Amy comes out. But yeah, you look back and it just, it's amazing, the experiences and what I've got to do and share the dance floor with and perform for and with. It's just, amazing. And like for me, like you said, like I think as well, a lot of my work drive comes from my parents as well, because they dedicated their lives into us children. My dad worked 7 days a week. My mum worked hard as well. And, you know, we didn't, you know, everything they had, they give to us kids. My parents went without. Do you know what I mean? To provide for us. And I think that watching that as well growing up, and I totally believe I've definitely got their work drive as well. And it's nice now for me to be able to give a bit back to them. And, you know, I was lucky last year enough to spoil them for a nice holiday for their 60th. And I love it when they come down to Strictly for their weekends. And I took my dad to the rugby earlier in the year before lockdown. And yeah, that for me is a big part in the reward for me as well.
Okay,
and I guess
so
it's similar for your mum as well.
100%. When I first got my job on Blue Peter, so I hadn't had a month's salary ever until that point. So I walked into Thomas Cook because my mum we've never had as a family. Oh, good. So it said low back. I thought, have I lost you? So yeah, I went into Thomas Cook and I said to the lady, hi, I said, I want to get a holiday for my mum. It's her 60th birthday. Money is no object. Because I knew the most expensive holiday would cost you about £1,000 at the most. It couldn't possibly get any more expensive. So she said, where would you like to go? And I said, well, I saw this thing on BBC Two. They went to Bora Bora. It was the Four Seasons Hotel. She went, okay, yeah. She went, how long would you like to go for it? 2 weeks. We'll have it going for 2 weeks. And so, and how would you like to fly there? I got to go first class. And so she said, okay, should we go for 1 week and try economy just to see how much it is first? But yeah, fine. Typed it in. She went, so that'll be £5,000. I went, what? She went, each. I went, what? And so I then left Thomas Cook, walked straight back in, said, hi, my name's Radzi. I'm here to get a holiday for my mum, and money is very much an object. And I got this holiday to Mexico in the end. And it was, and that was, like you say, trying to just, I'm never going to be able to repay. Of course I'm not. But being able to give something back. And it's her birthday tomorrow, actually. And so
happy birthday, Mummy!
And it's just putting a smile on someone's face, and when they've done so much for you. Yeah, that's what life's all about, I think.
Absolutely, definitely. So, what would you say then is her and your most most proud moment on Blue Peter? Because you get to like break world records, you name it. It's like, it's hard work, Blue Peter. But at the same time, you get to do such insane things.
So I once solo skydived with the RAF Falcons. And so solo skydiving tandem, you're attached to a professional. You're attached to a man who will make sure you are safe. Solo, it's on you. And when you jump out of a plane, I have got this thing about being present. And even being on Strictly for the Children in Need special, I was stood in the wing, stage side, watching everyone else go. And I think, wow, I'm about to do this. This is really cool. And I try and always drink in certain moments. When you're about to jump out of a plane, no need to do that. No need to do. You don't know your own name. And there's a process you go through. So you turn to the guy on the inside the plane, say, check in. And he'll say, yes. And you lean out and there'll be another instructor hanging off the plane. You say, check out. And he'll say, yes. And you look at the wingtip and you'll go, out, in. And on the second out, you jump. And when you jump, oh my goodness, man, it is the most overwhelming experience where if my eyes could be, the dilation in my pupils was immediate. And and then all of a sudden, you suddenly go, I'm fine. And then you pull the canopy and it's majestic and it's beautiful. And there were birds flying underneath me. And you're like, wow. And then you have to go to this landing platform, a landing sequence. And when you land and you eventually learn to land on your feet, oh my goodness, it's like slam dunking being 4 foot tall. It's just, oh man. That was one. And the other one was, it was an idea I pitched where in 2015, it was the 50th anniversary since Martin Luther King had done a walk that they called the Walk That Changed the World. He walked from Selma to Montgomery with a number of African-American people. The result was he helped change the law. And so I got to walk 50 miles, the exact route that he did, 50 years on. And we got to tell the story of those people and meet some people that were there. And they're old people now. And speaking to them and looking into their eyes, thinking, your eyes have witnessed history. That meant the world to me. And then seeing the letters that came in from Blue Peter fans saying, I didn't know about this. and that's made me research that, or people make incredible drawings and sent that in. It touched me in a way I never expected to.
Aww.
And so those two things, skydiving and the walk that changed the world, such a privilege. We'll never forget them.
Oh, amazing. And I've definitely been trying to educate myself as much as I possibly can recently with Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's spoken enough about. And yeah, I'm trying to educate myself and my students as well. And I guess for you on Blue Peter, you got to educate so many people going through their childhoods on so many different subjects, and that must be proud. That must be proud as well. Do you know what I mean? To have had an effect on someone's upbringing and their education, really.
Well, my dad was from Zimbabwe in Africa, so he was a black man. My mum from Scotland, white lady.
Another Celt.
Correct. And so I've had kind of, if you like, had two lives of two different sides to a family, very different cultures. And so when I go to Scotland, that's totally different. But for me, it's about, so what the beautiful thing about Blue Peter is you can shine a light on anything. We had AJ and Chloe together performing, and they were probably, I'm going to go 16.
I remember.
Right.
Yeah, I remember.
And that was at the time. So for them, I think they were either just going for the World Championships or there was something they'd done in the Junior World Championships. Either they were just about to or just had. Yeah. And we're shining a light on a really small world that the junior ballroom dancing, especially at that time, wasn't nearly as big as it is now. And then, and whether it's about the history of Scotland, I did a thing about my granny. She came from the very, very north of Scotland on a farm. Whether it's about doing stuff in Wales. I've got a mate in Tredegar, a mate in Bridgend, and I've gotten to do stuff in where's the famous steelworks?
So we've got quite a few in Wales. I'm just trying to think now. I'm from Caerphilly.
Yeah, it wasn't that one.
No, not the.
You go past Bridgend.
Swansea way.
Yes.
So the Gower way.
Oh, it wasn't that. It will come to me. But we've gotten to do filming there, and again about how much the closure of the steelworks has
not Port Talbot.
Thank you,
yeah.
Port Talbot. Yes. So and the story of that, or whether it's the story of people in America, and that for me is that I love most of all is that for 10 minutes we're going to shine a light on something that you probably won't know an awful lot about, but by the end of it you might think, I want to give that a go, and if that's how you feel, job done. And so that's what I love. And so whether it is about Black Lives Matter, whether it's about the history of Dundee, my mum's originally from Dundee in Scotland, whether it's about Wolverhampton, I've done stuff in Wolverhampton, whether it's about our fantastic dentist, Dr. Gupta. It's about shining a light, and I'll never forget that. And it was an honour and a privilege to do it, and to be able to say, Blue Peter, we love you.
And something you're always going to be remembered for now as well, Blue Peter, isn't it? You're going to go down in history for that, yeah.
Well, my mate said to me, he went, now if you die forever, it'll be former Blue Peter presenter. I said, okay. He went, you'll probably always get your name read out in the news if you die. I thought,
yeah, absolutely. You will. Yeah. So I do a segment in the show, and I'm going to ask you, what was you doing this time last Monday?
Last Monday, I was, so I've started to make some TikTok videos. And
follow him, guys.
It's a new one for me. It's a new one. And so I've been doing all about different facts. So I was researching facts and making a video about those. So I spent all day. It's because I'm not exactly 14 anymore. It takes me a little while to learn these new stuff. And so I was looking at how do I get it to work? But so that's what I was doing. And then afterwards I went to train in my mum's garage because I've got a little gym set up there and enough just to kind of keep me sane. So that's what it was.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, then. What were you doing this time last year?
Last year,
June 2019.
I was getting ready to go to the World Athletics Championships in Qatar.
Amazing. And
I love athletics. It's my number one. Of all the sports, it's probably my biggest love. I've watched it since I was about 4 years old. I'm encyclopedic in certain areas. And so to then get to go is, it's everything. Absolutely everything. So that's what I was doing this time last year. World Athletics Championships.
I'm guessing it's kind of like me walking into the Blackpool Ballroom because I still get goosebumps now.
Yeah.
So it's probably the same for you, going to the World Athletics, to me going to our biggest championships.
Do you think how do you feel when perhaps people competing know who you are?
I don't notice it. I
Okay.
honestly don't. I think, especially if you're in a competition mode, you're so into your performance and what you need to do on that day. You don't get absorbed in your surroundings because you're too into your job. It's a job.
Yes.
And you want to, what you've put to practice and worked so hard, you just want to deliver that performance on the floor that day. And I think you can't get, in our world, too absorbed in what's going on around you. Do you know what I mean? Because then you're wasting
Totally.
energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, I love going to competitions now, and I love especially seeing the youngsters there, and yeah, and going with I'm like a dancing mum now, going with my babies when they compete, and actually I feel more nervous for them than I do for myself because I'm not in control of what they're going to do.
Totally.
Yeah, I stand there at the front of like formation competitions, or when I'm there at my couples or my solo dancers dance. Honestly, I don't breathe until they've stopped. And yeah, but I absolutely love it. Anyway, so you were at the World Championships
Yes.
last year. What about 5 years ago then, 2015?
So weirdly, it was another World Athletics Championships. It's in Beijing. That was my
Yeah.
first time in the Far East, and that was my first time working for TV outside of Blue Peter that was abroad. And I also got to go because they had a rule on the BBC travel policy where if there were no seats available in economy, there was an automatic upgrade to any seat that was available. There were no seats available in economy, which meant I was in first class. I'd never experienced first class before. And I was like,
I've never travelled outside of economy either, so I wouldn't know what that's like. Is it amazing?
It is. I've never turned left before. You turn right. And it was so, yeah, it was really nice. Although to be fair, I was so excited because it was when Usain Bolt was going to be competing.
Wow.
I could list you so many athletes that were there. And it was, again, I'm going to China. What's Radzi from Wolverhampton doing going off to China? Apparently for work. And then that year also, I'd just done the Gareth Malone Children in Need Choir, where we released a single and it got to #1. And it was, and so that was, and we recorded it in Abbey Road. It was, oh man, incredible. And that's the thing about TV so we did it with Mel Gedroy, there was Joe Brand, Nitin Ganatra from EastEnders, Fabrice Mwamba, the former Tottenham Hotspur football player. There was Alice Levine from Radio 1. There was Larry Lamb from Gavin and Stacey. There was Alison Steadman from Gavin and Stacey. There was, am I missing anybody else out? I can't think. But lots of people. It was just such a
surreal.
And yeah, it was. And then you listen to the charts on Radio 1 and you're going, and #3, that's still not us. There's a 50-50 chance we're going to be #1 here, and it's #2, and it's still not us. We're #1. My contribution to that song was about this. It was.
No, it doesn't matter. You were part of it. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so would I. So incredible.
And then that was the same year that I climbed the world's tallest man-made climbing wall for Blue Peter, which is in Switzerland, called the Diga di Lazzoni. And so it's like the Hoover Dam. So in James Bond, I think it's GoldenEye, when Pierce Brosnan jumps off this dam, it's a bit like that. So it's a swooping dam with actual climbing holds, and it's 150 meters high, which, in case you're wondering, is high.
Yeah.
And it was just wonderful. So that year, 2015, was a very cool year.
Sounds it. Okay, then 10 years ago. 2010. So this is before Blue Peter.
Yeah. So 2010 was a tough year for me because that was the year when I realized skeleton bobsleigh. So to be exactly precise, it's June, and I know that in October I'm going to the British Championships for skeleton bobsleigh. Yeah. And what I didn't know is I'd go to the championships and I had to come top 9 to qualify for Great Britain, be taken on the GB squad, and off to the races. And I came 9th. And so I actually qualified. And then they changed the ruling. And that was so devastating. And when I say it now, it sounds like nothing. British Championship didn't get selected. When that's
it's the workload, yeah, and that is your life. That is what you sleep and breathe, and you name it, isn't it? I completely understand. But maybe it was meant to be, because this is what, that was the trauma, but you wouldn't have been on Blue Peter and the presenter and who you are today, maybe, had you gone down that line. I might have never known you.
Right. Yeah. It's I think about that a lot, actually, to be honest with you. We don't know. We only lead one stream of consciousness, and we only lead one life, and we don't know what choices would result in other things. But it taught me loads about myself. But it only taught me stuff about myself because I got flattened. I was absolutely smashed by that. And you only ask that question when you're on the floor. And it's, do I have the energy to get back up? And then do I have the energy to go again? And I decided I didn't want to go again with skeleton because I then didn't trust the system.
Yeah.
And I thought, what do I want to do? And when I was working at Loughborough in the leisure centre, this is a random one. Every day, I don't really know how to describe this. Every day, somebody would come up to me, a stranger, and say, "Are you a presenter?" And I would say, "No, I'm not, no." And they'd say, "Well, you should be." That little conversation happened at least once a day, often 3 times a day, every day for 2 years, even while I was doing skeleton. I was working for free, helping out my mum, at the Grand Theatre, the wonderful Wolverhampton Grand Theatre.
Yep.
And my mum's dance show that she does tap dancing in. And there's a lady called Shona, my mum's friend. And every year for 3 years, when I went there, she'd say, "Radzi, you're a presenter yet?" I never even said I wanted to be a presenter. And on the 3rd time, having had 2 years of loads of people saying the same thing, who didn't know me, Shona did know me, she said, "Radzi, how are you?" I said, "Good, thanks, Shona." And she said, "Are you a presenter yet?" And I said to her, quote, "Shona, no, I'm not. But you know what? I'm going to try and be one." And then that was November 2010. And then August the 5th, 2013, I got my break in TV. And so that whole thing all started really because people were saying that. And I thought, well, if that many people are saying it, they can't all be wrong.
No, they can't.
But I'd have never had that had skeleton not happened. And and so there's so many things that lead to other things, and we don't know what they lead to. All we can do is put our best foot forward and commit to the fullest.
Absolutely. You go with the journey and you try your best.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh, okay then. 20 years ago.
So millennium.
Yeah, millennium.
So that was actually yeah. So I was so we've just moved to Wolverhampton at that point, and it was actually a bit of a tough time because my parents had just split up then, and that was another flattened to the floor moment because it's then what's happening? What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to everything?
You were quite young then, 12, 13?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And so at that point you're thinking, you're just not sure about anything. And again, looking at me as correct. So of all the things that happened, that's the one where I say that defined me, because it meant that I kind of changed my role with my sister. I was never really a moody teenager because I didn't want to kind of be an inconvenience to my mum. And so I was very much kind of, I suppose it made me think about, there's still solipsistic, but I wasn't being solipsistic. I was thinking about others first. And I think it's what really made me reflect and think, what can I do other than what do I feel? So it wasn't just impulsion, fight, girls, going out. It was actually, what do I want to do? What can I do? And that really started then, looking back. So yeah, a bit of a tough time then. But that's also, you know, I think like when you do it like that in years, it's really interesting because you're trying to take yourself back.
Yeah.
And actually, that's part of the beauty of life, is that you go, that moment there, I mean, actually, that wasn't a great time. You think, wow, I hadn't thought about that for a very long time. And then equally, that moment there, that was everything. That was like 2015. I haven't thought about 2015 being
Yeah.
Wow.
But you know what, Radzi? Honestly, you have said so much to me that has inspired me so much today. And you've said quotes and words that I'm going to take away now and use myself. And honestly, I think you were destined, you know, you were a good human. You can see
Oh,
this.
thank you.
And you were destined, you know, to inspire and for great things. Absolutely. Honestly,
Well,
you
thank
totally
you.
deserve everything. Absolutely. And I really, really, really hope we get to work together.
Yeah.
How cool
So
would that be?
that
You
would
were
be.
coming to my studio no matter what.
That's a deal. That's genuinely a deal.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we'll have to, when lockdown is eased a bit, we're going to have to catch up properly in person for
Yeah.
sure. We are literally 10 minutes away from each other,
Correct.
so we got to make this happen.
By
But
the way,
no,
what's next for you?
for me, so fingers crossed with Strictly.
Yes.
We've been filming the Strictly specials from home. I've also been filming something else, which I can't announce yet, but
Nice one.
yeah, it's quite exciting.
Is it TV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a documentary. I can't say too much, but
Boom.
yeah, so that's been the dance school. I can't wait to be able to see my students and the kids in person. We see them over the screen, but it's not the
Not
same,
the
is
same,
it?
yeah.
But fingers crossed. I know Strictly producers are doing all they can. Fingers crossed that is back on our screens right up till Christmas. And yeah, I've got so much energy, so I literally cannot wait to get back on the
Do you
dance
still have your
floor.
abs, by the way? Because I saw you at Sports Personality and I said, where did they come from?
Oh, I don't know with this lockdown. We're going to have to go training together, yeah?
Done. Yeah, done.
Yeah,
Dentist,
absolutely.
then gym.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so, so, so much. It's been so lovely. Literally, I know it logs you out after an hour of lives, but it literally feels like we've spoken for minutes, but we've spoken for nearly an hour. And yeah, you've literally inspired me. And I know my students are watching this and I can just see them. They've been commenting throughout that you've so inspired them as well. Now you are truly, truly, truly amazing. So thank you so much, Radzi, and thank you for giving up your time to speak to us.
My genuine pleasure. And yes, we'll have a coffee soon.
Absolutely. You take care, and big happy birthday wishes to your mum for tomorrow.
Thank you. I'm going to pass it on to her now.
Yeah, sending her the biggest, happiest birthday. You take care, Radzi.
Bye, Amy.
Bye. How amazing was Radzi? Just so, so, so inspiring. And literally said so many quotes and words and just, yeah, it made me really think and reflect. So massive thank you to Radzi. And guys, I look forward to being back with my next guest next Monday at 4:30. The weather is meant to be beautiful this week. Stay safe, guys, and hopefully get some fresh air. Send in lots and lots of love. And remember, keep social distancing.